Evan Fuller is not only one of the founding members of Winnipeg FEV, who runs the races that are going on behind us, but he also does quite a bit of commercial work, both a little bit of construction, a little bit of freelance work. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about your experience in that space?
Yeah, I've worked in the construction industry now for about 15 years, and aerial photography kind of just lends well to working with our clients that we have in the commercial segment in Winnipeg. And it was just kind of a natural thing, my enjoyment of anything RC that flew, and it just kind of evolved from there into what I'm doing today.
And obviously, with the new drone regulations, you're a pretty experienced flyer. Can you take us through sort of the changes that are going on and your experience with the current regulations that are in place right now?
Yeah, like I've had my special flight operations certificate for 5 years now, and that being said, it's a kind of a crawl, walk, run progression you go through with NAV Canada when you're filing your flight plans, which up until now you had to fly as far as a commercial sense would go. But as far as the new regulations go, something that's necessary. 10 years ago, you had to know how to fly something that was small and RC piloted. And now with the automation that's involved with the drones and the technology today, anybody can just walk into a Best Buy and pick up something, put it in the air. So it's something that needs to be there just to safeguard the public and the hobby itself.
And you were saying you did some work. Now that you have your reputation, you've been able to do some work quite close to airplanes. Yeah,
now this being my 5th year in my SFOC with NAV Canada, I have basically the access and the ability to fly anywhere because they know who I am and they're comfortable with the fact that I've never had an incident in the 5 years doing anything commercially with aerial photography. So they know I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's when it comes to flying and all the rules and regulations regarding it.
And you've had pretty good safety record, obviously, but there are those close calls. Have you ever had? You've obviously, when something's been in the air that often, you're going to have those close calls.
Right. The saying goes is if you're flying anything that's remotely piloted, it's not a matter of if you're going to crash, it's when. It's one of those things that if it's going up, it's coming down, and sometimes it doesn't come down when you want it to, but those incidents are fairly isolated. Now you can minimize those with proper maintenance and all the safety, just following all the safety procedures that are in place from NAV Canada safeguards the public in case an incident like that does happen.
And obviously you have experience on the hobbyist side, on the commercial side. What were your initial thoughts when you first saw these new rules coming that are going to come into place in June?
They're very similar to the interim regulations that were in place for the last about 2 years now. So there wasn't really much of a surprise. Obviously, there's some things that I think they could have gotten a little bit better. For one example, they have you currently licensing any drone individually that's over 250 grams. Collectively in the community, people that I've discussed it with, we feel that just having a pilot's number on whatever drone you're flying at the time would probably be sufficient. But I mean, they did pretty good. The regulations are still allow the hobbyist portion of it to enjoy the segment of the market without having to be, crippled by regulations. And some of the commercial and business segments of the market have changed as well to allow a little more flexibility, for example, to say like farmers, so they can fly over top of their field where there really is zero risk. There's nobody around, no traffic, no buildings. So, things like that they've relaxed on, which is really good. So I'm curious to see where it goes in the next few years.
Thanks so much for doing this. We'll let you get back to your
no
racing here today.
Thanks.